Hi everyone, this is Mr. Chow. Welcome to another video. Now the national exam results have just been released for most of the national exams except for A-levels. So I think a lot of parents would like to know what are the available pathways that they are available to them after the national exams. So let's get started. So you have your results day, and you've just gotten your national exam results, and you're probably wondering which school to choose or which career path that you should take. Right, let's start with the PSLE first. Right, if you're a PSLE candidate, you're wondering which school to pick, or if you have just taken your O-levels, then you're wondering whether to go polytechnic or junior college JC. And if you have just finished your A-levels, right, you might be wondering what are the available pathways. So because I'm an English tutor, so I probably will also cover, right, for each level, what is the English grade to aim for. All right, so let's start with the PSLE first. So under the new system, students are graded based on AL levels, right, from AL1 to AL8, with AL1 being the best possible grade. The total of 4 subjects will then be added together when applying for a secondary school. So when choosing a secondary school, here are some factors that you may wish to consider. So for example, what is the indicative cutoff point? So you want to be realistic in your choice, right? You don't want to choose a school and waste your first choice. The indicative cutoff point, the COP, is too far away from your current results. Second, are there any additional programs that I'm interested in, right? For example, robotics, or if there's a particular sport that I like a badminton, right? Is the school good in badminton, right? Then I will possibly also take that into consideration, right? And then how far am I willing to commute, right? So because some schools, that are around you, that are around the neighborhood that you're staying in, they may not offer these extra programs, special programs that you're interested in, and then you might be trying to cast your net a little bit further, right, just to see which school actually offers the best combination of what you desire, right? But do take into consideration how far you are willing to commute and how much time, right, does it take to travel to your new school each day, right? So if you're going to choose a school that's very far away, there's a time commitment, right? So if it's 1 hour to the school and 1 hour back, that's 2 hours each day. That that amount of time could have been invested in your studies, doing homework, doing revision, but now you are just commuting, right? Spending a lot of time commuting. So the end goal is, of course, just to not to choose the branded school, right? Just because it has a very good reputation. Choose a suitable school for yourself, right? That suits your pace of learning, that suits your interests as well, right? Take everything into consideration, then make a good choice, right? So if your child is taking the PSLE and they have foundation level subjects, they're graded differently, A, B, and C. Okay, and the corresponding grades when converted to AL are as follows. So if you get grade A, that means it falls within the marks range of 75 to 100, right? And that is the equivalent of AL6, right? If they score B, that is very wide ranging from 30 all the way to 74, right? And that's the AL equivalent of 7, right? And most students, because of this wide range, they probably get into the B grade. And if you get less than 30 marks, and I think very few students actually get a C for foundation, right? And that's the AL equivalent of 8. Okay, so that also means that students taking the foundation subjects can still qualify for express or NA course, right? From according to the MOE website, right? Because the express NA course, there's a typo here, is from the range of AL 21 to 22, right? So if your child is taking just 1 or maybe 2 subjects in foundation, and the rest of the subjects in standard, and then after conversion, and they still fall within the AL21, 22, they are still eligible for the Express NA course. Okay, next let's talk about the N levels. So we are going from PSLE, N levels, O levels, and then to A levels. All right. So the available pathways is the Poly Foundation Program, direct entry scheme to Poly Program, DPP, and then Sec 5, or to go to Sec 5 to take the O levels. So there are actually 3 pathways that are available for N level students. So what's the difference between all these pathways? So let's start with Poly Foundation Program. The minimum English grade in order to qualify for this program is B3, right? Students must get at least a B3 for the N-level exam in order to be eligible for PFP, all right? So, in a case that in the event that the student gets a B4 and below, right, no appeal is available. Doesn't matter how well you do for all the other subjects, all right? As long as you get a B4 and below, you are not eligible for PFP. Right? There is an appeal for PFP, but the appeal is only, as far as I know, is only available for those who would like to switch courses, right? So you can't appeal based on grades. So the students, if accepted, will start from year 0 in Poly and complete the diploma course in 4 years, right? Because that's a year 0 instead of the usual 3 years. Okay? Time to acquire a diploma, 4 years. Next, let's talk about the DPP. Minimum English grade is B3 for business and services courses. DPP means you go into NITEC, higher NITEC, right? And then from higher NITEC, then you go Poly, all right? And then the minimum English grade is B4 for the other courses like applied sciences, engineering, and infocom. So let's say you're a student who got B4 for English, and then you got you ace all your other subjects. So DPP is an available option, right? Because for engineering, the minimum grade is B4 instead of B3. So you can't qualify for PFP, you can consider DPP. So students who are accepted will do a 10 weeks prep course in NITEC. So the NITEC will only take 10 weeks, right? Followed by a 2-year higher NITEC course before gaining admission into Polytechnic. Right, then you get into Polytechnic to take a 3-year course, and time time needed to acquire the diploma is actually 5 years and 10 weeks because of the extra 2 years that the student will spend in higher NITEC. So the third option is to stay back in the same school, right, and from N levels take the O levels, right? So students who don't qualify for PFP or they do not wish to choose DPP can go to Sec 5, right, to take the O levels, and entry to Poly will be based on O level results. So you join all the students in the joint admission exercise. They will be competing, of course, with the express cohorts, and time to acquire diploma in Sec 5, 1 additional year, plus 3 years in Poly, so that's a total of 4 years. So let's talk about the pros and cons of each pathway and which one do we choose. Right, so for those students who qualify for the PFP, they can avoid taking the O levels, right, and they can get into their desired course immediately, right? So they don't have to, there's certainty there, right? They don't have to worry about competing with the other students any longer, right? DPP, longer time frame, okay, but can also avoid competing with the express cohorts and gain entry into your desired Poly course. Just that it takes slightly longer. As for O levels, that means you need to compete with all the express students during the joint admission exercise, but the time frame is the same as PFP, right? And the biggest advantage of this is your options are still wide open. This is good for students who not very sure which career path that they have chosen, and they want to keep their options open, right? So the O levels, is a good way to give them more time, 1 additional year in the secondary school to consider the course that they want to take. And in fact, for some students, if they go to O levels and they find that they do well enough for O levels, from there they might want to go into JC even. All right. Then for O levels, the available pathways is either junior college, study for 2 years, take the O levels, and then get admitted into university. Millennium Institute, right? Same thing, we are taking the A levels, but instead of 2 years, we take 3 years, right? With a chance to be admitted into university as well, right? And then the third option will be to go polytechnic, get a diploma, and if you do well enough with a high GPA, typically 3.5, 3.6 and above, then you stand a good chance of getting admitted into university, right? Minimum grade for English is C6 for AC and Millennium Institute, right? And finally, let's talk about A levels. So you've just finished your A levels. What are the available pathways, right? If you do not do well enough, right? First option is, of course, you can retake the A levels, and second option is to apply for poly admission. So that's just like you're giving up your chance to go to university, and instead you want to pursue a diploma instead, right? Or if you're successful, right, in doing well for your A levels, then you get accepted by one of the local universities, right? And that's the ideal situation. So what's the target grade for GP, right? And because I teach GP, right, let's talk about the GP grade. So students should at least get a C, okay, for long non-language courses that they want to take, in order to avoid having to take the qualifying English test, which is the QET. All right. So once you get at least a C and above, all right, and you qualify for the course, you do well for your H2 subjects, which are your main A-level subjects, then you don't have to worry about GP anymore, right? Students who got a D and below are required, obviously, to sit for the QET, and the QET is very similar to GP, and you're supposed to write argumentative essays. And students who fail the QET, right, they are required to take up language modules during term time, right, which means an additional investment of time. So the best case scenario is to just at least get a C and above, right, for GP. For students who aim, right, to get into some of the more language related courses, or courses that require a strong command of language, like maybe the legal profession, right, then maybe the minimum requirement for the GP grade is a B, right? Even C does not qualify for those courses. Okay, so with that, we've come to the end of the lesson. So if you're interested to sign up for English lessons, please visit englishttuition.org for more details. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope you find this video useful. Do remember to leave a like and a subscribe for future videos just like this. I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye bye.